Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. We have the Mallard again, and this time I've actually got two issues for you because in issue 28 we're not doing very much at all, and 29 we start off doing the same thing as we are in 28, but then we do a little bit more on the boiler back head. So I've combined those two issues, so let's get into it and let's get building. Right, so here we are. We have the Mallard, and as I said, we've got issue 28 and 29 today. Reason being, you can probably see, we have the exact same parts in issue 28 and 29, and they are the front buffer. So this one says we're going to need the boiler cabin sub-assembly from issue 27. Obviously, that's just here, what we've been working on so far. And we're just drilling out that hole. And then we're going to be placing the buffer together and placing it in that hole. The other bits here, it's just saying about potentially filling up any gaps with any model filler. I don't currently have any model filler, so I won't be doing any of that, but I can do that at a later stage. And then at the end of it, we're going to have one buffer in place like that. We've got Britain's Railways. So we've got some Park Crest Station there. Been there, quite a nice station. Classic locomotives, and that's it for this issue. I will just flick through 29 because I'll sort of join them both together. So again, we've got the exact same thing in this issue, but we do need a few extra parts. So we actually need the 1mm wire from issue 11, which is this one. It says 12, issue 12, the 0.7mm wire. Now, actually, that actually did come from issue 11, but we used a tiny amount in issue 12, so that's why they put issue 12 on this. We need the boiler back head, and that's looking just like that at the moment. And we do need the boiler cab and sub-assembly, which we've got there again. And as you can see, we're just doing the hole again for the buffer. We are taking this back out. We're just leaving the small section in there. And then we're concentrating on the back head, as you can see here. We've got to make a couple of little datum points so we know where to bend these wires. And then we'll have something that looks like this at the end of it. And this one we've got classic locomotives. And we've got Great Railway Journeys. Right, so these are all the parts we get in issue 28, and we've got some very tiny parts, including a very tiny spring. So I am just using my little parts tray here, mainly so they don't accidentally roll off the workbench. And if you've watched other videos before, you know that has happened in the past. I definitely don't want to be looking for that very tiny little spring at some point today. 29 looks to have the exact same things in it, so I'll probably do these in tandem. So we'll empty those ones out as well. So the very first thing we need to do is we've got a couple of marks just here, or they're slightly dimpled in. We need to drill these out up to a 3.5mm. Now, the way they say that in the magazine is to basically just use progressive drills. So starting with a 1.5 and then moving up to a 3.5mm, and then we'll have two holes. Obviously, the issue 28, we're only working on this one, but I am going to do both in tandem. Now, because there's a hole there already, I probably am just going to go for a 2mm to start off with, and then open it up from there. Now, this is obviously die-cast metal, so I've just dipped the drill bit into a bit of oil, and that will help it cut through the metal. So I'm going to get those done, and then I'll get both of those rounded out to 3.5mm, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the buffer. Okay, so I've drilled up those holes. I've also put these two shanks in the holes, and the way I've done that, I've just what I've done is drilled the holes out to 3.5mm. I did use a round file as well to open up the holes a little bit so they fit in nicely. and as you can see, they're fairly straight, fairly level. What I've done, I've tried to make it parallel to this section of the body. So you can see that that looks fairly parallel. I'll show you on the top camera as well. They're fairly even, and I've also put the engine on its nose just so that I know that they've gone into the same depth and that they're even that way as well. Obviously, this one is from issue 29, so I've done a little bit of issue 29 as well. Right, so the next thing we're doing, we just need to check that the spring fits on the end of that, which it does, and do the same for the other one. Again, that fits no problem. And then we're asked to check if these are a good fit into the ends of here. And as you can see, that fits really well. And sides out. Same with this one. And sides out nicely. Which is great. We're then going to get the very, very tiny spring. And that needs to slip down on there. And then we're just checking that that goes on there. So we've got a nice little spring action going on there. But we're not doing anything with that one. And basically, we're not doing anything with any of the extra parts we've got here. So any of the buffer sections, etc. Obviously, at some point, that's going to go in there. We're going to have a nice little buffer, spring buffer, loaded buffer there. But we're not doing anything with those parts, and including this little tiny, what looks to be a washer or possibly a little nut. This does have a screw on the end, so I'm guessing that that will go on there and actually screw in place. Yeah. That might be worth me doing that just so that that is a little bit safer. Right. Just so that that small screw and also small spring and that nut is not lost, I'm going to put them together like so. I'll do the same for this one. And then those parts are just going to be kept safe. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put them all in this bag like so, because we're not actually doing anything with those parts this time around. And that actually completes stage 28. We're just putting this piece in here. And the other thing with 28 was basically just to go around these gaps and make fill any gaps, etc. with some model filler. I do have some gaps, so I will get some model filler and get all those gaps sorted. But now we're going to move on to issue 29. Now, issue 29 obviously would have started with this piece going in, but I've already done that. So we're going to move the locomotive out of the way, and we're going to concentrate on the bulkhead. Now, as I said, we've got a couple of different types of wire. We've got 0.7 and a 0.1 millimeter wire. And we're going to be putting in a little bit more detail in here. Now we're going to be putting in a couple of little datum lines, just so we know where to bend the wires. The first line is going to go just here. So it's below this piece here and just below this piece here. So roughly there. So I'm just going to make a mark across here with a pencil. So as you can see, there's a nice faint line just across there, and that's our first datum point. The other datum point we have is across the front door here, the firebox door. We have a couple of little dimples just here and here, and they're pretty much going through those dimples. So it's almost in line with the hinge on the firebox door. And again, just going to make a couple of lines like so. So we now got those two datum points looking like that. We're going to start off with our 1mm wire, and this is going to go into the injector valve just here. And we're going to have a couple of these. So we've got one in there, one in there, one in there, and one in there. Now, obviously, we did make a couple of indents last time with a drill to accept this 1mm wire. Now, the way this is going to go is we're going to bend it just here, out slightly, and then we're going to bend it back in just here slightly. And we're going to do that for all 4 of those pipes. So this first pipe needs to come past these 2 dots. So I think I need to bend this out a little bit further. So I'll make a couple more these bends a little bit deeper. And they should ideally be matching bends, just to make it look correct. So put that back in there, and as you can see, now we're coming just past these 2 dots. So that is probably absolutely perfect. And what I'm going to do is just cut it off there. I'm just going to duplicate those for the next 3 wires that we need to create. These wires are not actually going on the engine. We are just told to bend these and put them to one side. Right, so that's looking roughly like that. As you can see, I've left them a little bit long, so they've been cut off at a future date. But as I said, we're not gluing those, so we need to put these to one side and keep them safe. Not sure why we bent them this time around if we're not using them this time. Now, the last thing we need to do is with the 0.7mm wire, we need to join up the brake valve. So steam turret and brake valve. And this basically will run across the top here and coming down to this brake valve here. Sorry, down here. So we're just basically tracing this pattern down here and then coming down to this point. And it does look like we are actually going to be gluing this one in. And as you can see, that's going in there like so. I just need to trace it around, and it's going to end up in this point here. We've got this one just going in there. And that just going in like so. I'm going to hold that for a sec. Let the glue set. I'm just going to use a little bit off-cut wire just so we can glue that bit in like that. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. So that's Mallard done. 2 issues done. Doesn't feel like I've done quite a lot, but it felt like quite a bit. Especially all the fiddles with bending those wires and then having them sat there not doing anything. But it is what it is. Hopefully we'll get to use those soon enough. I'm just going to put all those nice and safe. I'll put them all in the issue 29 bag so I know what they are and where they've come from. So if you want to see more of how Mallard progresses or anything else that goes on the channel, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release new videos. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.